Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start off by giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rachahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. And as always, we give peace and salutations unto the elect. And I wanted to do a brief response. I've seen a few brothers speak on it, to this demon, all right, Rick Santorum, all right, who's a member of the United States Senate, all right, and he's an Edomite. And what you're going to hear, all right, him spew, okay, is ultimately mimics the very mindset of the Christians, okay, who so-called discovered, all right, with quotations, America, you see, because contrary to popular belief, all right, America was not built, all right, upon so-called Christian values, all right, as they like to spew out. You know, America was not built upon the hard work, all right, of the founding fathers. Okay, America was built upon the bloodshed, all right, of the Israelites, you see, and the enslavement of even more Israelites. This is how they've been able to be so far ahead of the race, okay, and through their sciences, they brag and boast on them being, you know, this, high IQ and all these various different things, while they've been able to label their subjects as lesser, all right, and most situations, they're not even human. And that's what the whole doctrine of discovery and everything else dealing with Christopher Columbus and all of these devils who were Christians, by the way. All right. That's what they stood on. All right. That the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American are not human beings, and that we've added no value, all right, to this current world. All right. That's how they look at you. That's how they view you, as a no people. And this is taught, all right, in the school systems, all right, and all throughout the world. All right. When the fact is, all right, the mass majority of the inventions and the things that this world thrive on, all right, were invented, all right, by our people, the Israelites. Okay. And the people who Christopher Columbus encountered, as well as his counterparts and contemporaries, okay, like Amerigo Vespucci, which America is named after. Okay. They were Israelites, and there's various documents, relics, okay, history to prove that. Okay, the people that were over here in the Americas, all right, were and are Israelites, and they were slaughtered, raped, robbed, and murdered, and that's a fact. All right, and it's celebrated every year here in Babylon the Great, Columbus Day. You see, now they're trying to change the name to Native American, the Indigenous People Day. Well, it's too late, but we're gonna listen to this guy. And then ultimately, we're going to get some scriptures to show them, to show you all how these people really feel about you and their mindset. You see, and it gets even worse when they get around each other. This is just on the news and in the media. But what's happening is the man of sin is being revealed for who he truly is. All right. So let's go ahead and play it, and then we'll get some edification.
There isn't much Native American culture in American culture.
You heard that? There isn't much Native American culture in American culture. And we'll get the precept and wisdom of Solomon, all right, that these are the people, all right, who we're standing boldly in front of, who made no account of our labors, man. All right? As a matter of fact, let's get that. All right, wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter. All right, in the first verse, it says, then shall the righteous man, all right, which a lot of the brothers, all right, happen to come from the northern kingdom, right, the tribe of Gad, the tribe of Reuben, the tribe of Issachar, all right, and all of the tribes, because what's happening is the throne of David, all right, the tabernacle of David is being rebuilt, okay, which is a culmination of all 12 tribes, all right, coming back, standing on our feet in these latter days, all right, which is a thorn in the side of the rulers. All right. Because when you get prophecy, the rulers benefited off of the true children of Israel being in a dead state. All right. And they've made sure to poison. All right. Via foods, education, what they did to the so-called Native Americans, they beat their heritage and culture out of them. All right. But there's so much facts and relics and things left behind proving that we're the Hebrew Israelites. All right. That they couldn't hide it. OK, and ultimately the Holy Spirit. All right. You have to ask yourself, why did Christopher Columbus have a Hebrew interpreter? OK, now you have this big fuss amongst Jake. All right. That, the people who are over here, were not Indians, but Africans and this and that. Well, they were Israelites. There's no tribe called African. And yes, they were darker in their hue. All right. At the point that, Columbus and them arrived here, because they described them as Negroes, but a lot of them now appear lighter because we basically were chopped down and small in number, mingled amongst the nations. Okay. And some of us are going to come looking different. All right. But the seed, all right, of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, all right, the 12 tribes of Israel is still here in these latter days. And that's via prophecy. You see? And what are we doing? The righteous man is standing in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors, man. You see that? And this is a prime example, which we're watching here. Okay, with this devil here, Rick Santorum. All right. The Native Americans have nothing to do with America's identity. You see, but when you go into it, as the beloved brother Karatazar did from Vegas, when you go into it, even on your own so-called history channel, they go into some of the very things that thrive today's culture, all right, that ultimately were started by the so-called Native Americans. And let's not forget, they took care of the land. Okay, yeah, they were doing some wicked practices. Our people always have done wicked practices. They were into all types of weirdo, bugged out. But one thing they did was they took care of the earth. Okay, they let the land rest. They understood the land Sabbath. Okay, they took medicines out of the earth and used them for their benefit. Okay, and there wasn't a such thing as a common cold before you so-called white people arrived over here and took the land. Okay, there wasn't a such thing as the flu and all of these various different things we now know. They were unheard of. You were able to drink out of the river. There wasn't no bottled water. Okay, so to act like you came over here and upgraded everything, we didn't have a need for cities and different things. That's why the scriptures say, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, so they don't fill the face of the earth or the world with cities. All right. We didn't need all of these freeways and things like that this devil has set up. All right. Families were more in tune with one another. Okay, things were way better. All right, but via prophecy, you've been able to come over here and do these things. Okay, the Industrial Revolution and all of these various different things, colonialism. All right, that's prophecy that you would do these things, man. And you're proud about it. And it makes us mad when we watch you, but ultimately we understand that it's prophecy. And he who will only let until it's time for you to be taken out of the way, which we're upon those times now. Corn. Now, one of the things that the so-called Native Americans did with corn was they used the whole of the corn, the part that you throw away, and they grinded it up and made grits. All right. That's one of the main things that thrives America, grits. All right. Families of all cultures enjoy grits. Well, who did that come from? Okay, how about basketball? As a matter of fact, real quick, let me look that up. Native Americans in basketball. I believe they invented that as well. Hockey. It was Jake, so-called Negroes, who invented these things. But who benefits from it? And at the end of the day, they make no account of your labors. The wrench. You see, the very wrench Jack Johnson created while he was locked up in prison. What do they call it? A monkey wrench. To make mockery of him. But do you think his family is enjoying any of the benefits of that creation? No. You took it, you patented it, okay? And you work wickedness, man. You're not right. And you're gonna pay for all of these things. Let me look that up. Native Americans basketball. Yep. How Native Americans made basketball their own. All right. Let me just type in Native Americans created basketball. So you can look that up on your own time. But the first basketball, all right, 1891. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see what this one says. Yeah, and basketball is a big part of this culture. But then the devil will tell you there's no remnants of so-called Native American culture, man. All right? In the early 1900s, the sport offered a rare physical and mental refuge from oppressive Indian, which is no such tribe as Indians, all right, and the chance to develop distinctive identities. Okay, so when you look up basketball, okay, you can do the research on your own. That goes back to our people, man. The so-called Native Americans. Okay? I believe it goes even further back than this, but do the research on your own, man. Okay? Let me see here. Well before Naismith invented the game of basketball in 1891, the people of Mesoamerica had a very similar game where the point was to get the ball through a hoop. Okay? The game origins date back as far as 1,000 years before the Common Era. The game has gotten many names over the years, such as judo de pelota in Spanish, yada, yada, yada. Each area had a variation of aspects of modern basketball, soccer, all right, and modern American football, all right. It was very popular in both secular and religious life before the Spanish invasion, all right, in the area starting in 1520. Okay. Well, there you go. Okay, and you can look up more on it, but I mean, here it is. We've just grits and basketball. Shit, those are two major additions, man. All right, res ball. All right. And then they'll make arguments like it wasn't civilized and all of this, but we know that the origins of it go back, ultimately to our people, man. But going back to this article, all right, 10 Native American inventions. And there's more than just 10, but these are some of the main ones. Okay? It says corn, it may be a crop, but corn was carefully cultivated. And corn has been absolutely corn is one of the worst things you can eat in this society now. Okay? Why? Because of the GMO thing. All right? Cultivated by ancient farmers as long as 10,000 years ago, Native Americans then taught European colonists how to grow the crop. And then what did you do in return? You destroyed them. You wrote letters, okay, when you go into the notes of Christopher Columbus and his counterparts, they said these people are so nice, all right, that we'll be able to take them over in this amount of time. You used them, all right, and then you made them go out and work. And if they didn't have enough, they didn't meet their quota, you chopped their hands off. But these are Christians. You see, these are Christians, man. And we're going to get into the doctrine of discovery, okay? Everybody knows about corn, but they don't know that it's a food that wouldn't exist without human intervention, all right? Rubber, okay? You can read about that. Kayaks, and rubber is very important in today's time, all right? But we know who took the invention and made it theirs, and who benefits off of it. Okay. It says kayaks. You people love to go kayaking. Okay, go to YouTube and type in kayaking. Well, you're gonna see Esau with some shades on, having a good old time. Well, what does that go back to? The so-called Native Americans. All right, snow goggles. Okay, goes back to the so-called Native Americans. Cable suspension bridges, which various cultures in different parts of the earth build these things. Okay, raised bed agriculture. All right, see that? Baby bottles. Oh, wow. All right. Oh, man. They took a dried and greased bear gut and added a nipple fashioned from a bird's quill to create bottles that could be used to feed infants. All right. Anesthetic and topical pain relievers. All right. Which you took how they did things and then you added your chemicals to it. Okay. And then later on down the line, you created what? Petroleum-based medicines to destroy people, man. So the Native Americans were very beneficial, okay, in the things that they added, all right, to today's society, man. Syringes, hammocks, okay, oral contraceptives, various different things, mouthwash, okay. And when you go here, all right, it gives you way more inventions. This is off of the Wikipedia. All right, it goes from A to Z. It's just all of these different inventions of the so-called Native Americans, because a lot of our people get into this mode that only so-called black people, all right, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, all right, have creations. Well, all of the tribes did various different things, man, because the spirit of the Heavenly Father is within us to thrive in any situation. All right. Now, let's go back to this guy. Okay, let's listen again.
There isn't much Native American culture in American culture.
Native Americans have nothing to do with America's identity, because ultimately within their science, they don't look at you as people. And that's where we're going to get you in the doctrine of discovery. Okay, this is why no matter what you say, no matter what you do, nothing matters. It's not valid. And this is the approach Vocab Malone is taking. You see, he's a Christian, right? They're for the way that this place was established. They don't have any thoughts or feelings about that. They don't care. You see? And then somehow now you're the villain for bringing it up. You devils are something else, man.
We came here and created a blank slate. We birthed a nation from nothing. I mean, there's nothing here. I mean, yes, we have Native Americans, but candidly, that there isn't much Native American.
Basically, what he's saying is that the so-called Native Americans aren't people, and that's where you get your doctrine of discovery from. Okay, which various Calvinists were a part of this as well. Which that's where Vocab's belief system goes back to. All right. Christopher Columbus and the doctrine of discovery, 5 things to know. All right. In the doctrine of discovery, all right, which they didn't discover a damn thing. They discovered that people were on a particular region of the earth, and they used the Apocrypha, ironically, to get this understanding, because Christopher Columbus knew he was coming over here to encounter Hebrew Israelites. That's why he had Hebrew interpreters with him. Look that up. Okay, and the Apocrypha in 2nd Esdras, the 13th chapter, gives you the understanding on how, all right, the Northern Kingdom left the Assyrian captivity and came over here to the Americas, man. Okay, the doctrine of discovery was used by European monarchies beginning in the mid-15th century as a means to legitimize the colonization of lands outside of Europe. See? To legitimize, all right? It was issued in 1493, the year Christopher Columbus arrived. And the Lord deals with that which is past, man. Whatever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. But how does he reap? Through his children. See, the scriptures say, judge none blessed before his death, for a man shall be known in his children. So you may think one dies happy and he got away, but no. Okay? That's why understanding this true doctrine is very, very important, man. Reincarnation and everything else that comes with it. Because it makes sense of everything. Okay? The doctrine, it says, the year after Christopher Columbus arrived on the shores of what's known as North America, all right, which Christopher Columbus never came to, the Babylon. He only made it to particular, parts of the Americas, all right? But his counterparts came. It says the doctrine of discovery continues to impact indigenous peoples throughout the world. The intent of the doctrine of discovery provided a framework for Christian explorers, all right, see that? Christian explorers, in the name of their sovereignty, to lay claim to territories uninhabited by Christians. Okay? If the lands were vacant, they could define as discovered in sovereignty claimed. Okay? So they can just pop up and say, this is ours. All right, now, before we go there, all right, I have here a map of what lands belong to what tribes of the so-called Native Americans, man. Okay? Which are Israelites. Okay? And even on CNN of recent, they had an article. This was in March of 2021. This app will show you what indigenous land you're on. Okay, so it says, as the U.S. grapples with history and becomes increasingly racially and culturally aware with ethnic studies curriculums in schools, recognition of the dangers of white supremacy and growing social justice movements, more people are acknowledging the keepers of the land known as North America, Native Americans. All right. You can read more up on that. But when you look at this map, all right, before they came and stole it, all right, this is somewhat of a example of what lands belong to what tribes of our people who were over here. Right now, let's go back here. Okay. It says within the framework of the doctrine of discovery. Okay. Calvinists are a part of this as well, vocab. All right. Indigenous peoples of the Americas were considered non-human. You see that? And that is forwarded. That mindset is forwarded through their science today. Okay. You're not human. All right. You're a beast. So when they got to the island and they saw, all right, our people, they could pretty much deem them another animal. So it's not like people were there. A bunch of animals may have been there, but we came and discovered it and killed off the animals, which were savages. Okay? And then you celebrate this. It says the presiding theory of the time was that indigenous peoples, because they were non-Christians, all right, were not human. And therefore the land was empty or terra nullius. And they were able to write this as a bill and as a law and say, boom, we discovered it. When Christopher Columbus arrived in 1492, it is estimated that the Americas were actually occupied by 100 million indigenous peoples, which is about 1/5 of the human race at that time, who had been living their traditional lives on the land, all right, since time immemorial, all right? Salakia, it says, but because they were not Christians, the land was deemed terra nullius, all right? No people are here, empty, all right? And this is the mindset that this man is taking right here, okay? Now, let's get Micah, the 2nd chapter, okay, and the 2nd verse. It says, and let's start at the first verse. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. Okay? And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. See that? They oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. Okay, therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, against this family do I devise an evil from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for this time is evil. All right. And you've shed blood, you've stole lands, you've done a whole bunch of wickedness. Now, let's get Revelation the 13th chapter really quick, because it said you would do this. It was given unto you power to do this. Okay. Verse 6 in Revelation 13, and this is speaking of the Edomite beast system. All right. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against the Most High, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. All right. Christianity is a big perpetuator of the blaspheming of the image of the Heavenly Father, his people, and the angels. Okay. Which Christopher Columbus and them saw the actual angels, man, because that was divine intervention at the end of the day. For them to do what they did ultimately was written, and it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations, man. And that's what he did. All right. But if you continue to read down, it says, if any man have ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. All right. So he's going to pay for this. All right. But it's all going to happen in its time. And we're living in a time, all right, well, it's just about time up, all right, for you and your blessing and you and your pride. Okay. And see, the Lord has devised an evil here in Micah, the 2nd chapter, against a particular family, which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for this time is evil. For this time is the time for your payback. Okay. And that day, all right, and we're in that day, shall one take up a parable against you. This is why all right, is on the ropes. This is why he feels that pressure. This is why they're like, well, it's okay to be white and all these various, because they feel the backlash. As the scriptures say, they shall complain of an ungodly father. Okay. Let's see where that is. Just children of Sirach, maybe 40. Hold up. Let's just get it here really quick. Sirach 41. Okay. And this is happening right now. You're being called out by all different nations. Even your own kind is calling you out because of your unrighteous doings. Okay. Sirach 41 and 5. The children of sinners are abominable, and they that are conversant in the dwelling of the ungodly. All right. The inheritance of sinners, because these lands have been passed down. All right. You go to particular parts of even where we are here in Dallas, you got particular freeways and territories named after particular bushes and particular men whom this was all passed down to them. You see, the inheritance of sinners, children shall perish. What's an inheritance? Something passed down. You see? And their posterity shall have a perpetual reproach. This is what's happening now, all right, to the children of those who did all of these things. Okay? And your soul and the spirit in you is a witness. You can say, well, I wasn't there, I didn't do this, but you're benefiting from it. And ultimately, you are those people coming back. You see, this is how the Heavenly Father judges. Okay, he puts the judgment into the bosom of the children. All right, on down the lines in generations. Okay, in the 3rd and 4th generation, man. Okay, it's not like, all right, you have a child now and he has to pay, although that can happen. All right, but the way that the Lord judges, as a matter of fact, let's get it in Jeremiah 32. We'll go back to that devil. See Jeremiah 32:18. Thou showest loving kindness unto thousands, and recompensest the iniquity of the father into the bosom of their children after them. All right. The great, the mighty God, the Yahweh, the Lord of hosts is his name. Okay. And what did he say in Malachi? I change not. Okay. See, man has tried to change the image of the Lord, and we just read that. He blasphemed the name of the Lord. I know this is going to take me to Exodus. That's right. Exodus 20:5. Thou shalt not bow thyself down to them, idols, nor serve them. For I, Yahweh, the God, thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. All right. So what you see happening now is what we're reading. Okay. The inheritance of sinners, Sirach 41:6, shall perish. All right. The children shall perish, and the prosperity, all right, shall have a perpetual reproach, because look how you got it. The children will complain of an ungodly father, because they shall be reproached for his sake. So now you have a lot of these Edomites coming out, speaking against particular things and acting like they feel bad and this and that. Well, that's prophecy. The scriptures say they would seek to please the poor. Okay, they're doing nothing but fulfilling prophecy, man. Okay, their bones are full of the sins of their youth. Okay, they haven't changed. All right, let's keep listening.
Culture in American culture. It was born of the people who came here pursuing religious liberty.
Pursuing religious liberty, and the people that came over here were a bunch of goddamn outlaws. Degenerates. Okay, the ones who the queen gave permission to come over here. They were the castaways, man. Villains. They didn't come over here to establish the law, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. They came over here, as the scriptures say. All right, and it's speaking of Jake, but it says the thief cometh not but to steal and to rob and to kill. But they're acting like they came over here and just set up this loving, kind way of life based upon the Bible. No, you fulfilled the prophecy of what the Edomites would do in fulfilling their blessing of ruling by the sword. That's what you did. And it's all right, because there's another side to that you all don't want to deal with. Let's go back and listen some more. Let's just listen to them all the way through. Then we'll get some more.
There isn't much Native American culture in American culture. We came here and created a blank slate. We birthed a nation from nothing. I mean, there's nothing here. I mean, yes, we have Native Americans, but candidly, that there isn't much Native American culture in American culture.
Really?
It was born of the people who came here pursuing religious liberty to practice their faith.
So show me which Christian faith, all right? Because what does the Bible say? The scriptures say, and it's funny how they can point out anything negative we do, all right? But when we bring up this type of stuff, then it and they still doing this. What does Romans 13 say? They came over here to practice their religious freedoms. You can't make this stuff up, man. You can't tell me this ain't the devil. And all devil means is deceiver. Romans 13:8. Owe no man anything. All right. And you owed, if you really cared, you give the land back. But we're not we're not interested in that. We're interested in the prophecies coming to pass. Okay? Because we got to remember what was told to Noah. Just real quick. It's Genesis, the 9th chapter, and I believe around the 7th verse. All right. I start at 5. And surely your blood of your lies will I require. All right. At the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of every man. And you've destroyed the beast. You've destroyed man. You destroyed the buffalo of the so-called Native American, which that's in the curses. In the man, in the hand of every man's brother will I require of the life of man. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, all right, by man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God, all right, made he man. So how did you get this land? How did you get this land? Okay. Habakkuk chapter 2 and 12. Woe to him that buildeth the town with blood and establisheth a city by iniquity. Maybe that doesn't make sense to you in the Old English. Let's read it in the NLT. What sorrow awaits you who build cities with money gained through murder and corruption? Now, they say they came over here to establish this Christian, setup, right? But the scriptures say, owe no man anything but to love one another, because that's the main thing they throw out when we start to bring up their doings is love, love, you're hateful. For he that love one another fulfilled the law. Okay? For this thou shalt not commit adultery. You raped, robbed, and murdered men's wives while they were in front of them, man. Okay? Thou shalt not kill, which really that should be murder, because that's what you did. You had no justifiable reason, all right, to mass murder and do what you did, man. You wait for the men to leave and go out and hunt for food, and then you raid the village, man. Okay, you gave them smallpox blankets, acting as if you were going to give them something to help them. All right, but the very children of these people we're supposed to trust with that thing, get out of here, man. Thou shalt not steal, you damn sure stole. Thou shalt not bear false witness, you lied, said they were savages. Thou shalt not covet, and that's what you did. You coveted the land. You removed landmarks, which is very important, man. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, that thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. So you're a hypocrite. And we know what the scripture says about the hypocrite. The joy of the hypocrite is but for a moment. So they came over here to practice and establish a Christian state. Well, even to this day, where's the Christian, so-called Christian values that are being established? Where? I'll wait. Show me.
To practice their faith, to live as they ought to live. I don't know of any other country in the world that was settled predominantly by people who were coming to practice their faith. They came here because they were not allowed to practice their particular faith in their own country.
Because they were outlaws. They're pretty much kicked out. Okay? Rebels. The worst of the worst. All right? Eating human flesh with the fucking degenerates, man.
And so they came here mostly from Europe, and they set up a country that was based on Judeo-Christian principles.
Judeo-Christian principles. All right? Where? When did they practice the land Sabbath? They destroyed the crops. Here it is. Gad was big into eating grains like quinoa in particular. You burned them all down. And presented, rice, which is a grain, but nonetheless, you made sure to destroy the things that help these people. Okay? So where is the Judeo-Christian principles that were established? Show me. Where? You brought pigs over which are not native, And Gad in the northern kingdom started to eat it, and they became addicted to it to the point where they started to kill and fight over having pigs to eat. But they aren't native to this land.
I say Judeo-Christian, the Mosaic laws, Ten Commandments.
Whoa. So they established the Mosaic laws. They established the the Ten Commandments and the teachings of Jesus Christ. You see this? Wow. That's what you all did to the so-called Native Americans. Let's go back here. Within the framework of the doctrine of discovery, indigenous peoples in the Americas were considered non-human. Wow. You can read more on that, and then the UN came and see here. Let's read it. The UN's perspective on the impact of the doctrine of discovery in May 2012. The Permanent Forum of Indigenous Issues concluded its 11th session with the approval of a set of 9 draft recommendations highlighted by a text approved on a special theme, the ongoing impact of the discovery doctrine on indigenous peoples and right redress. All right, that 15th century Christian principle was denounced throughout the session as shameful. It's too late. It's too late. And you don't mean it. We're listening to a guy that is spewing how you really feel about it all. And that's just one on a low level. Okay? It says the Permanent Forum noted that while such doctrines dominated and domination and conquest included terra nullius and Hegelian doctrine, okay, were promoted as authority for land acquisition. Yeah. And that's what they do through their theories and various different things. They use these theories as a means to establish things in the earth, all right, put labels on particular nations of people, okay, and forward themselves and treating them like shit. You see? They also encouraged, all right, despicable assumptions that indigenous people were savages, barbarians, inferior, and uncivilized, among other constructs the colonizers used to subjugate, dominate, and exploit the lands, territories, and resources of the native peoples, man. Right? And where are the so-called natives at? They're on reserves. Here it is. I took the land, but I reserved this for you. Here, you can have this. And they're all drugged out. You got children committing suicide. They're drunks, drinking any chemical they can get their hand on. They're drinking it because of the misery that they're in. So how you gonna tell me they're not under the curses? Yo, this man is crazy. So they established a society based upon the 10 Commandments. When we just read, okay, that true love is to not do those things, and that's all they did. And here this devil is sitting here with a straight face saying this. This is the serpent. This is he who's coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, man. Right here in your face. You can't make this up.
And the teachings of Jesus Christ, the morals and teachings of Jesus Christ. That's what our founding documents are based upon. It's in our DNA. If you think of other countries like Italy and Greece and China and Turkey and places like that, they've all sort of changed over time. I mean, they've been there for millennia in many cases. And their culture has sort of evolved over time. But not us. Religious liberty. Those are the two bulwarks of America. Faith and freedom.
And until this day, there aren't any Christian principles, so-called Christian, because really the Christians were followers of the Messiah, which were Israelites. All right. And they believed in the Torah. They believed in the laws. They believed in the moral code of the scriptures. If true Christians and true followers of the Bible ran this world, you wouldn't see all of the filth you see today on TV and music, in the foods. Okay, particular things wouldn't even be eligible for you to eat or sold in markets. The earth would have a land Sabbath. There wouldn't be any Monsanto. Why? Because the law says not to mingle the seeds. You wouldn't have this alphabet thing. You wouldn't have 10 states in the United States where having sex with an animal is legal. Would you? But this goes into the point, ultimately, that the joy of the hypocrite is but for a moment. Let's jump down to verse 15. Habakkuk 2. Let me start it here again. Habakkuk 2 and 12. Woe to him that built this a town by blood and establishes a city by iniquity. All right. Man. Woe to him that giveth his neighbor drink, verse 15, that puttest thy bottle to him, and that makest him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. And you did this in spirit, with your Christianity, with your lies, and you did this in a carnal sense with the so-called Native Americans. Okay, you've introduced to them fire water, something they never have, booze, spirits, right? And what did they do? They got drunk, and you took advantage of them. You see, how are the so-called Native Americans better off, all right, than they were before you arrived? You see, your pseudoscience ain't going to save you, because it's all based upon a lie. All right. And ultimately is based upon manipulation. All right. And painting yourself as this angel of light and the smartest thing, the best thing going, while everybody else is just a dumbed down monkey. All right. It says, thou art filled with shameful glory. Drink thou also. Now it's your turn to drink, boy. And let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of Yahweh's right hand, which is Yahweh, shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. All right. And that's what's happening, is shameful spewing. All right. You're being exposed. All right. On your glory. All right. Your glory is what you boast yourself in. But a shameful spewing is being poured upon that. For the violence of Lebanon shall cover thee, in the spoil of beast, which you did that, which made them afraid, because of men's blood and because of the violence of the land. All right. And the city and all that dwell therein. You see that? So you got hell to pay, man. All of these lies and everything that you've used to, your enchantments, they're not going to get you out of what's to come, man. Wow.
I mean, you hear it all the time now, faith and freedom, faith and freedom. But it is what makes America unique in the world.
Who are the people?
What the hell is this guy talking about? So, I just wanted to give my quick response. He got to be stopped, man. This is crazy. But we're crazy. You see, in vocab, this is what you support. And you made it known when you went on to Santorum TV and you threw it out there that the Israelites, the Messiah, everybody, David, were so-called white people. You are forwarding that supremacy. And you want us to pretty much bow down to the same Christianity that was used to destroy and put all of these demons on our people, man. Job 20 and 5. All right. Let's see here. Ooh, it said the hypocrite with his mouth destroyed his neighbor. Job 20 and 4. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon the earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite before a moment? Okay. So yeah, hey, you've overcame, the tribes. You've been able to spread your pseudoscience. You've been able to do all of these things, which the scripture said you would do. Okay, hey, the scriptures say Satan, once he was loosed out of his prison, what would he do? He would go throughout the four corners of the earth. Revelation chapter 20 and 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, which we have various videos breaking this down, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. And that's after the Dark Ages, after the Byzantine Empire entered into what? The Renaissance period. Satan, all right, and when you read 2 Thessalonians, it tells you there's a particular man or seed of people who would come to do the bidding of Satan will be loosed out of their prison. All right. And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea, which that's being prepared right now. World War III is being prepared because we are what? At the end of your deception. He went throughout the four quarters of the earth and deceived the nations, took down all of the nations, lied, conquered, okay, colonized. Okay, and now he's sitting back and wiping his mouth as if he did no wrong, and that they really came over here and set up a Bible believing society. You Edomites, oh man, oh man. And this is why you all are all messed up in the head by seeing us raise up. Right? Let's finish it off here in the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter. It says, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors. When they see it, they shall be troubled with fear, with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for. And it starts with this Holy Spirit being placed upon the ones that within their pseudoscience, okay, are raised up, coming up out of the dead state that they thrived off of us being in. They made money and traded and were pretty much once when we were dead. But now that we're awoke, they're troubled with great fear, man. And they're trying in their minds to reestablish this dominance and glory. And hey, at the end of the day, the Heavenly Father is getting ready to deal with you all, man. So Babylon the Great, man, it's not looking too good for you. Okay, even when you go here to these comments, Salakia, let me let it load. I love how they like to say settled as if people weren't here. Stolen is more of an accurate description. And well, within their mind, you're not a people. You're nothing. You're not human. Yeah, people were bringing up smallpox. It says, imagine what they would tell each other at these conferences before they knew it could go viral on the internet. Well, yeah, there's way more said. The Lord is just having it all being, leaked. So we can, so he can be exposed, man. And that shameful spewing can come up on him, man. But I'm going to leave it there, man. On to the next one. Shalom.